Welcome back to Journey On. It's the Karl and Jim show. Pastor Karl. Sometimes as we come into the show here, we've had some conversation and then we talk about things. You've been a friend of mine, Karl, since before you were the official pastor to the church. You came in and into Bismarck, Prairie Heights, and spoke. And I knew you were a pastor in Fargo, and now you're our pastor. So sometimes I forget to call you Pastor Karl. I don't ever mean.
That's quite right.
I
am actually
disrespect. Karl. Yeah.
Well, none ever taken, because I'm Karl long before I'm a pastor. Yeah. Pastor's title. Karl is who I am. Actually, your friend is who I am.
Yeah,
so I appreciate that. So thank you.
That's a good start. Yeah, I'm sure I know what your last name is. Oh yes, I've seen your last name, but you're in my contacts on my phone. You're Pastor Karl, and everybody else has got similar names. So yeah, that works pretty well. It is November 25th. It's another special Monday edition rather than Tuesday. Right. So take everything that we talk about with grains of salt as far as what's coming up, because next Saturday and Sunday the message could change between now and then. It's unusual week. I'll be gone. I'll miss everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's say that out of the gate here. We had a great message yesterday and Saturday. I'm assuming it was the same in Fargo on Saturday as it was in Bismarck on Sunday. About
as close as I can be, being me reading the same notes. Right.
Yeah, and I can't. There was a time. There was a couple of us that saw your message back to back, and we did compare notes on things that you said differently. The differences were minuscule, and the message is always appreciated. So, but back with Thanksgiving, we did touch on the Thanksgiving and gratitude message yesterday, and I'm sure on Saturday as well. Thank God for the resurrection, and I don't know if that was intentional coming into this week or if it just worked out that way, but thank God for the resurrection. Absolutely, it was a great message to kick it off. I took everything as I read through the first part of chapter 15. It's all good news, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I felt that come across. And I mentioned before we started recording, I felt a little bit of this yesterday, and it may have been where my mindset was at. I felt some hellfire and brimstone, and sure. I appreciate that. I like that from time to time. Don't do that every week, please. Talking to the Spirit as much as my friend, but could get to be a little much. But no, it was a great message. I appreciated that what we learned. Otherwise, and we just talked about this. Otherwise, you have believed in vain.
In vain
was that, and that one got to me. That's when I heard that, I thought, yeah, there are things that I just kind of have right in my life, just kind of glossed over, and maybe that's not as important, and maybe I don't give it as much thought as I should. So I guess I don't even know where I'm going with that. Any thoughts on where that message came from, or how we came to hear what we did?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a human being, not a pastor, not a public speaker, not even nothing, just as a human being, I want people to like me just as much as anyone else wants to be liked, right? However, and I'm trying to get out of saying but, because my wife tells me when I say but, it negates everything I just said. So I'm going to say however, or in addition. I'm going to try those. So in addition.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just say this real quick. That's true, but sometimes it's necessary. So.
Okay. There you go. So when I come across things like, otherwise you've believed in vain, or that John scripture we read that those who have not accepted Jesus, God's wrath is still on them. Those are scary, and they should be. Those are scary words in scripture, and they should kind of rock us to the core. And we should be searching. I mean, continually searching. God, are there things that I'm getting wrong? Are there things that are grieving you? Are there things that I become comfortable in and don't even realize that I'm so comfortable in that? And I used some examples yesterday, and I'm glad you asked this, because I did not have anyone in mind in particular on any of those examples. So often when I see someone who hasn't been to church in a while, they feel a need to tell me why they haven't been to church. And I kind of I mean, I'll listen. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't matter to me. The thing that matters is if they're keeping up with their relationship with Jesus, that's key. And
Hmm.
if they're not making it to church, if they're going to another church or they're doing, something that's keeping them connected, fantastic. We're all on the same team. It's one big team.
Hmm.
But if they're not, that's my concern. My concern isn't why you didn't make it to church. My
Yeah.
concern is that you're slipping away from church. And I think sometimes when we get comfortable, we get into that next time. Oh, the next opportunity. Oh,
Yeah.
next Sunday. Oh, and it just becomes easier, just like working out. Obviously I work
Yeah.
out daily. You can tell.
You are
Well,
literally preaching to the choir. Yeah.
yeah. You start a workout program and then you're like, I'm going to take today off. And pretty soon today becomes, I'll take the week off. And pretty soon it's the month. And then it's like, it's not even worth going back.
Yeah.
And that's
And then
my
I have
big
to wear sweatpants to work. Yeah.
exactly. Oh, sweatpants day again. All right. Yeah. So thanks for asking that. I think sometimes and like you said, and I don't know if you said it here when we were talking prior, the Holy Spirit inspires and convicts each one individually.
Right.
So if that's what you took, that's what you needed to hear. And I think honestly, if we're truly being honest, I think a lot of people need to hear that because we're coming into a very busy time. We're
Right.
coming into a very materialistic time. It's easy to start getting priorities askew. And yeah, I think God is concerned about that because, well, he's worried about us.
You
That might
mentioned
not be right.
that, yeah, and I agree, and it's that slippery slope that we talk about. I absolutely feel that. I've been in seasons where it's just easy to not go to church, and I'm really grateful today that I'm not in that season, and
Yeah.
it takes work, right? And I think it made me think earlier when you said people tend to feel the need to inform you why, right? Give the reasons. One of the things that's natural about being a pastor for a church is you're our accountability partner. And that's one of the big responsibilities that a pastor has for the entire flock. And that's a lot to carry at times. So I would put the challenge out to the rest of us if I can be so bold that we help share that burden. I'd love to be accountability people and help out with stuff like that. So if you feel the need to discuss why it's hard to do anything, I think that's what we're here for. We've got the Wednesday men's group that we do that. I know the Saturday morning group is great for that. There are other small groups that we have, and I think that helps build the community up. And so the times when now I'll miss both the men's group and church this week, spending time with family, and I'm kind of looking forward after the message that we had this last week. I'm kind of looking forward to hanging out in pajamas with my daughter and grandkids and watching Bismarck Church and maybe getting them encouraged to be part of our family remotely as well.
Don't get comfortable.
But I won't get comfortable. Well, if that kind of comfort, if you don't see me back here, that means I got really comfortable. But it's the big city. It's out in Maryland. It's out by Baltimore. I don't think that's the life for me these days. But yeah, I'm happy where I'm at for sure. Plus, I have my dogs and my wife. Not
There you go.
necessarily in that order. So
I'm glad you clarified that.
yeah, really important stuff. So we're coming towards the end of First Corinthians, in other words, and all the dots and the quotation marks and everything that we have. And I know that we're not quite there yet because, and we talked about this last week a little bit, First Corinthians chapter 15 is really long. It's one of those that covers a lot of pages if you're reading in the hardcover, and a lot of scrolling if you do like me on the computer, but it's a long one. So I understand that we'll be in pretty kind of the second half of chapter 15 for this.
We're gonna do chapter 15, 1 Corinthians, in other words, chapter 15, and for today, I'm loosely titling the message, "How Does a Resurrection Work?" Because Paul is answering questions, and then he's also doing a little bit of rebuking. We went through that in the first 6-8 chapters, and again, this kind of comes from the second half. When you read through there, it's kind of like they've asked. I can imagine them asking, Paul, what are our bodies going to be like? Because look at this body. I don't want anything to do with this body when I'm resurrected. Or what if I die at sea and I get all bloated, my body's or eaten by a shark, or what if I'm cremated,
Mhm.
So we're going to answer these questions because we want peace of mind knowing that we A, are resurrected, B, we're not going to have this body for eternity, whatever that is. There's
Mhm.
some people who probably think like, man, I worked hard for this body. Most of us are thinking, no, give me the good one, give me the good
Yeah.
one. And
How much for the upgrade? What do
yeah, right. I like the deluxe platinum
Yeah,
package.
yeah, exactly. What are the trim packages that are available? Because I'll start
Oh yeah,
working
the
now.
Denali. I'll take the Denali, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna answer some of those questions. How does the resurrection work?
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about rapture and second coming
Wow.
but again, this isn't dark stuff. This isn't scary stuff. This is uplifting, hope filled. It's a promise. These
Yeah.
are all really, really good things. So I encourage people to read ahead again, or if they've already read 15, read it again and just look at that second half. And if you have a study Bible, or I think in a lot of Bibles, they'll have references,
Yeah.
cross-referencing in the margins,
Hmm.
and go look at those things and just see what Paul's talking about because he's pulling from a lot of different sources. It's
Hmm.
really great stuff.
Yeah. Just I don't know if this happens to you, but as you were talking, I think I had about 50 things float through my mind that I wanted to follow up on, and they're all gone right this minute.
Oh yeah.
But I'm really excited for this message. One of the things I know that came to mind is this sounds very kind of tangible, tactical, like we're talking about things that will happen when Jesus returns, right? And how
Yep.
we will experience death and what happens, and we're talking about eternity things, but in terms of how our life ends and what happens thereafter. And I'm excited for this message. Sometimes I get chills when we're doing this, so I'm excited for this one. And I'm excited for all of them, but this one in particular.
No, I get it. Yep.
And with that, so one thing that is important in my life, and I mentioned dogs earlier. I've learned a lot from our little dogs. I grew up allergic to everything, and everything that was in my house, I was allergic to it. That was just my life. We had a cat. Maybe I'll tell you the story sometime. It was a stray cat that adopted us. Like, she came to live at our house.
Oh
And I
wow.
didn't have to have a lot to do with her, but she was there. She was the only pet that I had, but she mostly just did her own thing. With all the allergies, I didn't think I'd have pets. So about a dozen years ago or so, Janita and I got a dog. We found dogs that are good for people with allergies, and we've
Oh,
had at least one, upwards of four dogs at a time, and they're all little 15, 20-pound dogs. And I've connected, and I don't know if this sounds sacrilegious, I don't mean for it to, but I've connected with God by understanding the relationship dogs have with us. That
okay.
unconditional, always happy, always joyful, living in the moment. So many lessons that I've learned that frankly, as a father, I wish I would have had dogs before kids. I think I could have learned some good things about being a human being
Oh
from dogs.
yeah.
And one of the things that I think in Janita and I share this quite a bit is the mortality. The dogs don't live as long as we do. So perpetual hurt and perpetual joy and things that come together in that. And it's been on my mind a lot. It's an anniversary of last year my younger brother died, and so this is a time of year when I think of that. And I know you talked about this, I'm sure in Fargo, and for sure in Bismarck this past weekend, that a close friend passed in your church family as well. And so with that in mind, as we're kind of winding down this week, my heart goes out to those that knew Chris, and I didn't get to know him very well, but I know that he's with God, right? And that's part of what we get to talk about this weekend as well. So I know you had some final thoughts on that this
I
evening.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Good setup. So Chris and I had a lot of great conversations about a lot of different things. We've been friends since I think 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. And church family, consider him a brother. Um, so one of the things in the last few, specifically the few weeks, but few months, as he knew that his time was coming to an end, which is such a unique
Mhm.
experience. Yeah, it's just a unique experience. But one of the things that whether it was a meeting that we were at, or a small group, or it was a church service and we were fellowshipping afterward, when he would leave, he would say, you guys, hug your loved ones, hug your family, tell them how much they mean to you, let them know that they're important to you. And because family was very, very important. And so that's my final, especially coming into Thanksgiving, things that we're thankful for. I mean, you want to talk about something we should be thankful for, our biological family, yes, but our church family, our chosen family, man, we are accountable to each other, and we are uplifting each other, forgiving each other, and doing life together. And just, we're an army, man. We're a family army. And I want to tell everybody of our church family that watches this or sees this that I absolutely love them. And I thank God for them, and you're all blessings in my life, and I hope to be a blessing in yours as well.
It's a perfect opportunity to share this with others, because Pastor Karl just said he loves everybody that watches this. So let's get millions of views. This is our time to go viral, if we possibly can. And I know it's true. That's the amazing thing. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody take care. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Blessings to everybody in your travel and your time together. And we hope to see everyone at service, and if not, the very next opportunity that we can. Thanks again for being here. As always, appreciate it, Karl. God bless.
Thank you.